what a lovely day it is to be relaxing by the waterside on a typical English summer holiday. It's just beautiful out here. Oh my. Oh, greetings all. It is I, Ian from Eurogamer here, and once again, instead of working, I've decided to go on holiday because, well, I don't know, I'm lazy and stuff. Anyway, this time I'm not soaking up the sun in the deep south though. As you can see, I'm currently in the lovely Cumbrian countryside of Atomfall, soaking up whatever glorious goop that power plant behind me is belching out into the air. But listen, whilst some of you might think that pulling up a slightly squeaky pew next to a molten reactor core is a pretty stupid thing to do, I found plenty more examples of idiotic adventures during a recent hands-on with the game, starting with swimming in this here lake. Ooh. Okay, so it's probably not a great idea to submerge your body into any liquid that's been contaminated by a leaky nuclear power plant. But in the case of this lake here, it won't be the waterborne rads that do you in. Oh no. Your end will be much swifter than a slow internal cooking, thanks to the legions of murder leeches that'll charge at you from the middle of the lake as soon as you go for a paddle past ankle depth. Now, these leeches only seem to appear in places where there's really deep water, which means that shallow streams should be fine to frolic in. So this could just be a cheeky way for Atomfall to deal with the fact that there's no swimming in the game. I was going to test this out to see how far I could get out into the lake before the game stopped me with, I don't know, like an invisible wall or something, but considering my groinal region was going to get a dunking and in turn a leech mauling way before my head did if I walked into the water, I figured that would be a very stupid thing to do indeed. Thankfully, smashing these little monstrosities with a cricket bat as they churn their way towards you like mini motorboats with mouths is oddly therapeutic, so just do that instead. Staying on the subject of nature, England is a pretty chill place when it comes to its wildlife. It's definitely not Australia, which is a country where even the cutest looking critters will gnaw your leg off if you look at them the wrong way. In England, the worst you can expect is, I guess, maybe a badger biting you on the bum if you get hammered on local cider and decide to fall asleep in a hedge on your way home. But yeah, I reckon that's probably pretty rare. In Atomfall's irradiated England, however, you definitely need to treat the wildlife with respect. And by respect, I mean either stay away from it or wail on it with either your foot or a solid object. There's bright purple wasps' nests that you absolutely need to steer clear of, and there are also hordes of rats hanging around in old buildings and in underground bunkers that will attack en masse and nibble at your knees until you're tottering around on bare bones. These ones are harder to avoid as they are often guarding nice bits of loot, but if you can find and smash the rats' nests, you can thin out their numbers much easier. It's not just the meaty bits of nature you have to look out for though. Thanks to the power plant leak, a lot of the vegan stuff has mutated too. These luminous blue mushrooms are harmless, and they look real pretty, sure, and this bright purple plant here can be harvested for something useful if you have the right skills, which I didn't, so I don't know what useful thing they do. But some of the plants you can find out there in the world of Atomfall are absolute a-holes, like this one that burps out deadly spores into the air if you get close enough to it. This one here is the worst of the bunch though. It was basically impervious to bullets, it shot plant bullets back at me, and I honestly think it might have actually been sentient. So absolutely don't disrespect it, or this will happen to you too. Alright, so this one is only really stupid when you look at it in the context of the fact that A, you're stuck in a post-apocalyptic quarantine zone, and B, you're desperately trying to find your way out of the post-apocalyptic quarantine zone. Or at least, I think that's what you're meant to be doing. I've only played an hour and a half of the game so far, so there might be, and probably is, a lot more to it. Either way, wasting your precious survival time looking for garden gnomes to batter with a cricket bat like a teenager from the 90s who's gone to town on a 2-litre bottle of white lightning is a pretty stupid thing to do. Even if the little pottery peeps do let out a satisfying scream when you shatter them. As someone who's lived in the UK for all of my life, having easy access to guns is pretty much unheard of, which honestly is very nice indeed. Even with the UK's strict gun laws, however, it's still pretty much common knowledge that you really shouldn't be pointing the business end of one at another person, unless you intend to use it, or unless you're just a massive prick, obviously. Case in point, in Atomfall, if you point your gun at anyone in the game, friendly or not, they will understandably get a bit annoyed with you, and then, especially in the case of these soldiers here, they will kick off and they will not stop kicking off until you are more bullet hole than man. Atomfall's picturesque village of Wyndham is a lovely place to wander around, especially when the sun is shining. There's beautiful old buildings, a pretty bandstand covered in bunting, some gorgeous flower displays, but best of all, there are teapots full of delicious tea lying around all over the shop. And quite literally outside of a shop in this case too. Or in the village hall in this case. Such a wealth of tea can only be a good thing, but occasionally you might find yourself having a cup of tea at a stupidly inappropriate time, like after hearing a ghost and then accidentally murdering the town baker. Oh crap, where am I going to get my Cornish pasties from now? Ugh. Oh well, hopefully a nice relaxing cup of tea will help soothe my nerves after that fatal fumble. Much better. Although it still hasn't solved my pasty problem. The next time someone tells you that exercise is good for you, flick them right on the eyeball and call them a liar, because in Atomfall, doing excessive amounts of exercise can actually be fatal to your life. You see, legging it around the place like a toddler on a Red Bull binge will push your character's heart rate up sky high, as shown in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Anytime your heart rate reaches around 150 BPM, which Jim has reliably informed me means burpy poopy mouths, you'll get a big sweaty vignette on screen. At this point, your movement will slow, and worst of all, your laboured breathing will screw with your ability to aim steadily, making you way less effective in combat and way more effective in getting dead. Not only this though, just like in real life, if you get injured, your heart rate will also increase, so wheezing into battle and immediately getting an arrow to the knee will just create a lactic acid domino effect that's hard to come back from. This means that, in my experience at least, Atomfall is probably best played with a stealthy mindset, rather than a run and gun approach, thanks to the fact that your character seems to have the lungs of a baby. Although, seeing as this game is set in Britain, it could just be that they're mega unfit because they get their 5 a day from the local chip shop and the closest branch of Wetherspoons. We just don't do vitamins here.
A stranger, eh?
Sometimes you'll be out and about and you'll overhear someone saying something really, really stupid. Perhaps it's a conversation between two passengers on a bus that leaves you silently shaking your head in disbelief. Or maybe it's hearing one half of a phone call as you pass someone on the street that will have you wondering where on earth all their brain cells have gone to. Well, it turns out that listening to members of the public having conversations in Atomfall can be just as stupid as eavesdropping in real life. Yet, at the same time, in this case, it's also very entertaining.
See that big metal bugger? I could have it. I could.
Steady on, George. It's got guns on it, you know.
Stop pinning it out like it owns the place.
Aye, but the robbers are proper frit of them robots. They won't try the luck here while we've got that.
You what? Roberts are frit of them Roberts? Unholy robbers? You're not making any sense there, Michael.
You've had enough. Don't know what Alf's putting in his beer these days, but it's got a proper kick. Anyway, you stay away from them machine men, all right? They won't bother you if you don't bother them.
I could take it, Mike. I could.
No, you couldn't, George. Stop being daft.
Okay, so listen, some of you might not think that answering a ringing phone is that stupid, but for people like me who never answer unexpected calls and always lets them go through to voicemail, answering a phone can be terrifying. In Atomfall, however, answering phones has the ability to be both terrifying and stupid, because whenever one rings, you will hear this mega creepy voice on the end of the line.
You have experienced the woods. You should avoid the woods when possible. The woods are dangerous. Be careful.
Now, to be fair to the spooky speaker here, it did sound like they were offering a bit of advice there, and in later phone calls, you can actually converse with them a bit in order to try and learn a bit more information about what exactly is going on in the game. Shame then that the caller's cryptic answers make about as much sense as an episode from the first season of Lost.
Listen, everything depends upon the interchange. It must live again.
Doesn't help that he sounds like he's one of my many night terrors either. Should I really be talking to a stranger on the phone who can see my every move? Just seems a little bit stupid to me.
You do not need to see why it is good.
One thing that I learned the hard way was that the world of Atomfall does not pause when you're in the game menus, whether it be looking at the map, buying skills, or in my case, trying to swap out my rusty-ass guns in the middle of a firefight because they kept running out of bullets. Pulling up the menus will do nothing to the world around you in Atomfall, so make sure you're prepared for the unexpected. What do I mean by that? Well, if you see a group of people that you want to fight, make sure to check that you've got enough bullets to deal with them all first. Or, failing that, at least be better than me at remembering to assign your weapons, throwables, and healing items to your shortcut buttons, so you're not caught with your virtual pants down by an angry outlaw with a shotgun. Tripwires seem fairly prevalent in Atomfall, so bumbling into an area without paying attention to your surroundings is going to be a very stupid thing for you to do indeed, especially if you're trying to remain stealthy. But while that tripwire found in the Casterfell Woods region merely clanked a couple of cans together and alerted a bunch of murder druids, the tripwires that can be found liberally placed under the arches of Datlow Hall's gardens are a whole different kettle of fish. Because those fish are now on fire. And finally, probably the most stupid thing you can do in Atomfall is to be like the protocol soldier that you can hear now.
I used to whinge about my hometown being born. I'd give my eye teeth to be back in Swindon now.
Seriously, fella, keep those eye teeth embedded in your gob, because even fighting to survive in a mutant-infested apocalyptic quarantine zone is better than living in Swindon. Although, I might have actually just described Swindon there. Anyway, you won't get views like this one in Swindon, that's for sure, so I know where I'd rather be. Alrighty, that is all the stupid I've got for you today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this cheeky preview disguised as a stupid listicle. If you did, please do give this video a like, subscribe to Eurogamer for almost daily videos about video games, and why not check out some of these other previews that are on screen and clickable right now while I sit here and work out if the burning that I can feel in my tummy is to do with the radiation in the air or the fact that I got bitten by about 50 mutant rats earlier on when I was trying to stamp on their nests. I was not very good at aiming and they bit me loads. Oh, it hurts.